All right, boys and girls, in this video, I'm going to go over MathBoxes 1-10 on page 22. Remember, boys and girls, you have to do the MathBoxes first and then use this video to check your work. If you haven't done the MathBoxes yet, please pause the video and do the MathBoxes and then come back and use this to check. If I go too fast, pause the video. If you need to rewind, do that. I want you to get the most out of these videos. All right, let's look at number 1. It has a picture of some shoes, and it says there are blank shoes in all. So boys and girls, if you count these shoes, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, there are 10 shoes in all. But it wants to know what a good number model would be. The last couple of days, we've been working on number models for equal groups problems. Boys and girls, how many groups of shoes do you have? Okay, there are 5 groups of shoes, right? 5 groups of how many shoes are in each group? 2. 5 times 2 equals 10. Remember that multiplication symbol can be replaced with the words groups of. So we have 5 groups of 2 shoes to equal 10. All right, let's look at what time it is. Look at the little hand first. Remember that little hand tells you the hour. Okay, we're going to look at our hours first and then our minutes. Look at the little hand first. Now, if you follow that little hand out, you'll see it's between the 9 and the 10. We talked about how when you're little, you don't have to worry about all the little dots in between. When you're little, you're just going to say what number it's on. If it's between two numbers, you're going to choose the little number. So 9 is the hour. Okay, big hand, count by 5s. When you're bigger, you can count by 5s, and you can even count those little dots in between. So when I count by 5s, 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, and then I'm going to count these little dots in between. So 31, 32, and 33. So my time should be 9:33. So that's what you're going to shade in, letter B. All right, looking at number 3, we need to be able to add or subtract. It says use your calculator to complete these problems, but we've been doing these problems without a calculator because, guys, these are easy problems. You don't need your calculator, you just need your brain. If I want to go from 163 to 193, what's changing? Do you notice how I have both of them have a 100. Both of them have 3 ones. The only thing that's changing is going from 6 tens to 9 tens. So what happens? You got bigger, right? I know that I'm adding. What did I add to go from 6 tens to 9 tens? Well, I added 3 tens, right? And what is 3 tens? 30. Okay, look at 603 to 803. Look to see what the differences are between these two numbers. The only thing that's different is this has 600 and this has 800. So did the number get bigger or smaller? Well, the number got bigger, so I'm going to add. How much bigger? Well, I went from having 600 to 800. I went up 200. Okay, the only number that changed was in the hundred spot. I have 2 more hundreds. All right, let's look at 345 and 305. My number got smaller, didn't it? I went from 345 to 305. So I know my number got smaller. I'm subtracting. Now let's look and see what's different. In both numbers, I have a 300. In both numbers, I have 5 ones. The only thing that changes, I went from 4 tens to 0 tens. Guys, when you go from 4 tens to 0 tens, we took away all those tens, didn't we? We subtracted 4 tens, so we subtracted 40. And then finally, look at 341 to 41. I know I'm subtracting because my number got smaller. Now let's look and see how much smaller. This number, I have 341. Over here, I have 41. I don't have any hundreds. I took away all of those hundreds. How many hundreds were there? 300. Okay, so see, boys and girls, you don't need a calculator. You just have to look at your place value. You have to know that there's the hundreds, there's tens, and there's ones. And then you got to figure out what's different between those two numbers. Okay? All right, this should be very easy. We've been doing 10 more, 10 less. This time they want you to do 100 more and 100 less. So all we're doing is looking at the number in the hundreds place. So which digit is in the hundreds place for 413? Well, 4 is in the hundreds place. So if I want to do 100 less, if I have 4 hundreds, now I have 300. Whoops, but I got to put in my tens and ones, don't I? So now I have 313. The only thing that changes, guys, is a digit in the hundreds place. 100 more would be 513. Check your work, guys. If you messed up, stop this video, get things fixed, okay? All right, looking at 502, what digit is in the hundreds place? The 5, right? If I have 100 less, now I have 402. The rest of the problem stays the same. 100 more, I would have 602. This is easy stuff, isn't it? All right, looking at 732, what digit's in the hundreds place? The 7. If I have 100 less, now I have 632. The rest of it stays the same. If I have 100 more, now I have 832. All right, last one, 891. I have 800. Okay, if I have 100 less, now I have 791. Rest of it stays the same. And if I have 100 more, now I have 991. Pretty easy stuff. I'm only changing the digit in the hundreds place. All right, let's look at number 5. Number 5 wants us to write the number that is halfway between 60 and 70, and then it wants me to label where 66 belongs. So they already have 60 and 70 written on the number line for me. What number goes exactly halfway between 60 and 70? Remember, half of 10 is 5, so I have 65. And then I need to place where 66 would go on the number line. And 66 would go somewhere after 65. So there's 66. Now, when I round 66 to the nearest 10, isn't it closer to this 10 than this 10? So 66 rounded to the nearest 10 is 70. All right, and last but not least, number 6. It says Josh got to soccer practice at 3:10 p.m. He left at 3:55 p.m. How long was he at soccer practice? This is one of those elapsed time problems. So we can draw our timeline. He got to soccer practice at 3:10. That's when it started. And he left at 3:55. So that's when it ended, right? And it wants to know how long was he there? Guys, pay attention. Look here. Do you see how the 3 is the same? So I know that he wasn't there for hours, was he? He was only there for minutes. The hour is still in the 3 o'clock hour. So all I need to do is go from 10 to 55. Remember the other day we said the first step that you should do is jump to an easy number. Well, guess what? 10 is already easy, isn't it? So now I need to jump from 310 to 355. I got to go from 10 to 55. Now, guys, you may have jumped differently, but our answer should be the same. Okay? The nice thing is people can jump all different ways. I might have some of you that maybe just jump 10 at a time. So if I jump 10, I'm at 320. And then I jump 10 more, I'm at 330. I jump 10 more, I'm at 340. I jump 10 more, I'm at 350. Sorry, it gets a little bit junked up there, doesn't it? I'm almost there. I'm at 350. I got to get to 55. From 50 to 55 is only 5 more. Okay, but maybe you jumped differently. Let me put another timeline up here. Okay, let me do 310 and 355 again. And you're jumping from 10 to 55. So some of you might have said, that's a pretty big jump. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to jump 20. Okay, well, if I jump 20 minutes, 10 plus 20 is 30, right? So I'm already at 330. And you're like, well, I could jump 20 more. Okay, so 30 plus 20 is 50. So I'm at 350. Well, I can't jump 20 more because, look, I'm almost there. 50 to 55. That's only a difference of 5 more. Okay, so maybe you just jumped by a bunch of 10s, maybe you took bigger jumps. But the end answer should be the same. I've got to add all of these jumps up. So 10 plus 10 plus 10 plus 10 plus 10 plus 5. 10, 20, 30, 40 plus 5 more is 45. If I'm jumping down here, I got to add 20 plus 20 is 40 plus 5 more is still 45. The answer should be the same no matter how you jumped. You're going to add up your jumps. So 45 minutes is how long his practice lasted. All right, guys, that is it for Math Boxes 1-10.